Okay, the next sutta, 47.13. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. Now on that occasion, the Venerable Sariputta was dwelling among the Magadhans and Nalakkagama, sick, afflicted, gravely ill, and the novice Chunda was his attendant. Then because of that illness, the Venerable Sariputta attained final Nibbana. Stop here for a moment. It seems that this place where the Venerable Sariputta passed away was his hometown. So he went back there and he died there. And this novice Chunda is not really a novice. He's a more junior monk. So supposed to be the Venerable Sariputta's younger brother, one of his younger brothers. The novice Chunda, taking the Venerable Sariputta's bowl and robe, went to Savatthi, to Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. There he approached the Venerable Ananda, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Sariputta has attained final Nibbana. This is bowl and robe. Friend Chunda, we should see the Blessed One about this piece of news. Come, friend Chunda, let us go to the Blessed One and report this matter to him. Yes, Venerable Sir, the novice Chunda replied. Then the Venerable Ananda and the novice Chunda approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him and sat down to one side. The Venerable Ananda then said to the Blessed One, This novice Chunda, Venerable Sir, says that the Venerable Sariputta has attained final Nibbana, and this is his bowl and robe. Venerable Sir, since I heard that the Venerable Sariputta has attained final Nibbana, my body seems as if it has been drugged. I have become disoriented. The teachings are no longer clear to me. And the Buddha said, Why, Ananda, when Sariputta attained final Nibbana, did he take away your aggregate of virtue, or your aggregate of concentration, or your aggregate of wisdom, or your aggregate of liberation, or your aggregate of the knowledge and vision of liberation? Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is asking Venerable Ananda whether Venerable Sariputta, when he passed away, did he take away your virtue or your concentration or your wisdom or your liberation or your knowledge and vision of liberation? These last two seems a bit out of place here, because at that time Venerable Ananda had not become liberated. So possibly it refers to his partial liberation, because he's also an Arya. His partial liberation and also his partial knowledge and vision of liberation. There's another sutta in Samyutta Nikaya 55.26 where also another monk who is also a Satipatthana also was said to have this liberation. Venerable Ananda said, No, he did not, Venerable Sir. But for me, the Venerable Sariputta was an advisor and counselor, one who instructed, exhorted, inspired and gladdened me. He was unwearying in teaching the Dhamma. He was helpful to his brothers in the holy life. We recollect the nourishment of Dhamma, the wealth of Dhamma, the help of Dhamma given by the Venerable Sariputta. Stop here for a moment. So you see, Venerable Ananda praised the Venerable Sariputta as being unwearying, not tired of teaching the Dhamma, helping all his brother monks. He says, we recollect the nourishment of Dhamma, the wealth of Dhamma, the help of Dhamma. So to the monks, the Buddha's disciples, the Dhamma is so important. That's why they keep teaching the Dhamma. Then the Buddha said, But have I not already declared, Ananda, that we must be parted, separated, and severed from all who are dear and agreeable to us? How, Ananda, is it to be obtained here? May what is born come to be, conditioned, and subject to disintegration, not disintegrate. That is impossible. This is just as if the largest branch would break off a great tree standing possessed of hardwood. So too, Ananda, in the great Bhikkhu Sangha standing possessed of hardwood, Sariputta has attained final Nibbana. How, Ananda, is it to be obtained here? May what is born come to be, conditioned, and subject to disintegration, not disintegrate. That is impossible. Therefore, Ananda, dwell with yourselves as your own island, or Be a lamb unto yourselves. Be a refuge unto yourselves, with no other refuge. Take the Dhamma as your lamb. Take the Dhamma as your refuge, with no other refuge. Those monks, Ananda, either now or after I am gone, who dwell with themselves as their own, who are a lamb unto themselves, who are a refuge unto themselves, with no other refuge, who dwell with the Dhamma as their lamb, with the Dhamma as their refuge, with no other refuge. It is these monks, Ananda, who will be for me topmost of those keen on the training. That's the end of the sutta. So you see, the Buddha always stressed that we should be a lamb unto ourselves, a refuge unto ourselves, with no other. That means don't rely on any other person. Rely on your own efforts, and then rely on the Dhamma to guide you. So relying on the Dhamma as your guide, you put in all the effort. Remember the sutta we read about the hen hatching the eggs. If the eggs are not hatched, it only means she did not sit enough. So similarly, when we practice, if we don't get results, that means we didn't put in enough effort. We didn't sit enough, like the hen. So we have to sit until our bottoms are warm, then only get result like the hen. So the Buddha says here, the last part, that those monks who rely on themselves only and rely on the Dhamma, those are the topmost as far as the Buddha is concerned. 47.14. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling among the Vajrayans at Ukachela on the bank of the river Ganges, together with a great Bhikkhu Sangha, not long after Sariputta and Moggallana had attained final Nibbana. Now on that occasion, the Blessed One was sitting in the open air, in the midst of the Bhikkhu Sangha. Then the Blessed One, having surveyed the silent Bhikkhu Sangha, addressed the monks thus: Monks, this assembly appears to me empty now that Sariputta and Moggallana have attained final Nibbana. This assembly was not empty for me earlier, and I had no concern for whatever quarter Sariputta and Moggallana were dwelling in. The Arahants, Sammasambuddhas, who arose in the past, also had just such a supreme pair of disciples as I had in Sariputta and Moggallana. The Arahants, Sammasambuddhas, who will arise in the future, will also have just such a supreme pair of disciples as I had in Sariputta and Moggallana. It is wonderful, monks, on the part of the disciples. It is amazing on the part of the disciples that they will act in accordance with the teacher's instructions and comply with his admonitions, that they will be dear and agreeable to the four assemblies, that they will be revered and esteemed by them. It is wonderful, monks, on the part of the Tathagata. It is amazing on the part of the Tathagata that when such a pair of disciples has attained final Nibbana, there is no sorrow or lamentation in the Tathagata. How, monks, is it to be obtained here? May what is born come to be, conditioned, and subject to disintegration, not disintegrate. That is impossible. It is just as if the largest branches would break off a great tree standing possessed of hardwood. So too, monks, in the great Bhikkhu Sangha standing possessed of hardwood, Sariputta and Moggallana have attained final Nibbana. How, monks, is it to be obtained here? May what is born come to be, conditioned, and subject to disintegration, not disintegrate. That is impossible. Therefore, monks, be a lamb unto yourselves, be a refuge unto yourselves, with no other refuge. Take the Dhamma as your lamb, take the Dhamma as your refuge, with no other refuge. Those monks, either now or after I am gone, who are a lamb unto themselves, are a refuge unto themselves, with no other refuge, with the Dhamma as their lamb, with the Dhamma as their refuge, with no other refuge. It is these monks who will be for me topmost of those keen on the training. So in this sutta we find after the two top disciples have entered Nibbana, the Buddha, even though he has so many monks left, he feels that the Bhikkhu Sangha is like empty for him. Okay, the next sutta is 47.19, page 1648. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling among the Sumbas, where there was a town of the Sumbas named Sedaka. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus: Monks, once in the past, an acrobat set up his bamboo pole and addressed his apprentice, Medaka Talika, thus: Come, dear Medaka Talika, climb the bamboo pole and stand on my shoulders. Stop here for a moment. This is like Penang, Penang, the Chingay procession. They put the bamboo on the shoulder. Then somebody has to climb up on that man and climb up the bamboo pole. Having replied, Yes, teacher, the apprentice Medaka Talika climbed up the bamboo pole and stood on the teacher's shoulders. The acrobat then said to the apprentice Medaka Talika, You protect me, dear Medaka Talika, and I will protect you. Thus guarded by one another, protected by one another, we will display our skills, collect our fee, and get down safely from the bamboo pole. So the teacher is telling his disciple, you look after me, I will look after you. You put on a good show. And this was said, the apprentice Medaka Talika replied, That's not the way to do it, teacher. You protect yourself, teacher, and I'll protect myself. Thus, each self-guarded and self-protected, we will display our skills, collect our fee, and get down safely from the bamboo pole. So the apprentice or the disciple also, he doesn't want to rely on his teacher, he wants to rely on himself, safer. And the Buddha said, that's the method there. It's just as the apprentice Medaka Talika said to the teacher, I will protect myself, monks. Thus should the intense states of recollection be practiced. I will protect others, monks. Thus should the intense states of mindfulness of recollection be practiced. Protecting oneself, monks, one protects others. Protecting others, one protects oneself. And how is it, monks, that by protecting oneself, one protects others? By the pursuit, development, and cultivation of the four intense states of recollection. It is in such a way that by protecting oneself, one protects others. And how is it, monks, that by protecting others, one protects oneself? By patience, harmlessness, loving kindness, and sympathy, that means towards others. It is in such a way that by protecting others, one protects oneself. I will protect myself, monks. That should be the intense stage of recollection be practiced. I will protect others, monks. Thus should the intense stage of recollection be practiced. Protecting oneself, monks, one protects others. Protecting others, one protects oneself. That's the end of the sutta. So here the Buddha says that if we practice the four intense states of recollection, the four Satipatthanas, we are protecting ourselves as well as protecting others. I remember the sutta we read last night, that if we stray out of these four Satipatthanas, you go into Mara's territory and you can get caught. Mara is always waiting to catch us to the six sense doors, putting the bait, nice sights, nice sounds, smells, taste, touch and thoughts. So if we stray out into these out of these six sense gates, doors, then we get caught. So we should always remember to put our mindfulness on the four objects of Satipatthana. That's why Satipatthana always has to do with remembering. Remember to put your attention in the right place. The next sutta is a very important sutta, 47.20. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living among the Sumbas, where there was a town of the Sumbas named Sedaka. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus: Monks, Venerable Sir, the monks replied. The Blessed One said, Monks, suppose that on hearing the most beautiful girl of the land, a great crowd of people would assemble. Now that most beautiful girl of the land would dance exquisitely and sing exquisitely. On hearing, the most beautiful girl of the land is dancing, the most beautiful girl of the land is singing, an even larger crowd of people would assemble. Then a man would come along, wishing to live, not wishing to die, wishing for happiness, averse to suffering. Someone would say to him, "Good man, you must carry around this bowl of oil filled to the brim between the crowd and the most beautiful girl of the land. A man with drawn sword will be falling right behind you, and wherever you spill even a little of the oil, right there he will fell your head." That means he will chop off your head. What do you think, monks? Would that man stop attending to that bowl of oil and out of negligence turn his attention outwards? No, Venerable Sir. I have made up this simile, monks, in order to convey a meaning. This here is the meaning. The bowl of oil filled to the brim. This is a designation for recollection directed to the body. Therefore, monks, you should train yourselves thus. We will develop and cultivate recollection directed to the body. Make it our vehicle, make it our basis, stabilize it, exercise ourselves in it, and fully perfect it. Thus, monks, should you train yourselves. That's the end of the sutta. So here, the Buddha is actually telling us how the practice of Satipatthana should be done. Just like this man carrying the bowl of oil filled to the brim, and there's somebody walking behind him with an uplifted sword. If he spills even one drop of oil, his head will go off. So he dare not pay attention to anything else except the bowl of oil. His eyes are glued to the bowl of oil. His attention is glued to the bowl of oil. His mindfulness is glued to the bowl of oil. Every step he takes, he has to make sure that the oil does not spill. So that is the simile to make us understand that is the way to practice Satipatthana. Because in the earlier sutta we read, the Buddha said, a skillful monk who practices Satipatthana in the right way, his mind becomes concentrated. And if it becomes one-pointed. So in this case you can see, if this man is walking, all his attention is fixed on that bowl of oil, nowhere else. His mind becomes one-pointed. So that is why when you practice Satipatthana, you must end up with the jhanas. If you don't end up with the jhanas, the Buddha says that you are not practicing Sati Sampajanya. That monk thinks he is practicing Sati Sampajanya, but he is not practicing Sati Sampajanya because his mind does not become concentrated. So the end result of practicing Satipatthana is a concentrated mind. That means the jhanas. So this is a very important simile on how to practice Satipatthana. The next sutta is 47.28, page 1653. On one occasion, the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahamoggallana and the Venerable Anuruddha were dwelling at Saketa in the thorn bush grove. Then in the evening, the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahamoggallana emerged from seclusion, approached the Venerable Anuruddha and exchanged greetings with him. When they had concluded their greetings and cordial talk, they sat down to one side. Sitting to one side, the Venerable Sariputta said to the Venerable Anuruddha, "Having developed and cultivated, what things has the Venerable Anuruddha attained to Maha-abhinya?" This Maha-abhinya here is translated as greatness of direct knowledge. Abhinya, this is the Sutta 47.28. Abhinya refers to the 6 higher knowledges. 5 of them are psychic powers. 5 of them are psychic powers. The 6th one is destruction of the asavas. That means attainment of arahanthood. So these abhinyas can be called supernormal powers, because all 6 of them are supernormal powers. So Maha-abhinya is great supernormal powers. This is the translation in the Pali Text Society book. So it's quite correct. So he asked the Venerable Anuruddha, by having developed and cultivated, what thing as the Venerable Anuruddha attained to great supernormal power, because Venerable Anuruddha's psychic power is one of the greatest among the many disciples. He is said to be able to see 1,000 world systems like in the palm of his hand so clearly. His mind has opened up to boundless space. And he said, "It is, friend, because I have developed and cultivated the 4 Satipatthanas that I have attained to great supernormal power." What for? Here, friend, I dwell contemplating the body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma, ardent, recollected, mindful, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. It is, friend, because I have developed and cultivated these 4 Satipatthanas that I directly know this 1,000-fold world. In other words, he sees the 1,000-fold world like in the palm of his hand. So here he says, it is because of the 4 Satipatthana that he has developed great psychic power. Normally in other suttas, psychic power is always due to the jhanas. Without jhanas, you cannot get psychic power. So in other words, these 4 Satipatthanas are synonymous with jhana. When you practice Satipatthana, it is practicing to attain the jhanas. But nowadays people give a lot of opinions which are very different from the suttas. They say Satipatthana has nothing to do with jhana. But in the Buddha's discourses, Satipatthana and jhanas are synonymous. So I think I'll stop here for tonight. We'll continue tomorrow. Anything to discuss? Yes.
What are these inspiring signs? Are they able to give us an example?
Just like the cook has got to notice the taste of his master, what his master likes to eat. So in the same way, we have to notice what object of meditation our mind likes. So you have to choose the tasty object for the mind, something that the mind inclines to. Okay, this one you have to try out yourself. That's why the Buddha always says, be a lamb unto yourselves, be a refuge unto yourselves. You rely on your own experience. You try different types of meditation objects and see which one suits you. So sometimes sometimes some people, they follow a certain meditation teacher, and the meditation teacher maybe he found certain method suitable for him, and the way he practiced was suitable for him, and then he teaches you that, and then some people go and, in Hokkien we say si pan, too fixed. So you can't follow your teacher 100%. What he practices is good for him. You have to find out what is good for you yourself. Both. When you practice, when you are sitting down in meditation, you observe one object only. One object. And as just the simile given just now on the man watching the bowl of oil, you pay attention to that one object without being distracted by any other thing. So for example, if you are paying attention to your breath, your breathing, all your attention is anchored on your breath. Any sound outside you don't bother. Mosquito disturb you also, you try not to be bothered. The pain in your leg also, you try to ignore it. Unless it's unbearable. So you put your attention only on one thing. And nowadays a lot of meditation teachers, vipassana teachers, they tell you, if sound comes, you note. Whatever comes, you note. Not the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha's teachings, your mind is totally fixed on one object. That is when you're sitting. Now when you're not sitting, you can observe any one of these four. If feelings change in your mind, you note how the feelings change in your mind. If thought arises in your mind, you also note. Note. And then when you note, you always remember that they are impermanent. And then also try to analyze why you have a certain thought. For example, is it motivated by anger? Is it motivated by your ego? So if you know it's motivated by anger or your ego, you know it's an unwholesome state. So you try not to try to get rid of it. And then also if you can remember the Dhamma, then you recollect the Dhamma when you are not sitting. So when you are sitting, you try to attain one-pointedness of mind. When we are sitting, we always practice samatha meditation. Only when you are not sitting, when, for example, you are walking on the street, or you are sitting in a bus or something, then you can observe your mind, you can observe your feelings, you can think of Dhamma. If you find your mind is very scattered, a lot of people, our mind tends to be very scattered, especially if we sleep a lot, then we have to constantly put our attention on one object. Also bring it back to one object. And a simple way is to do chanting. I always encourage people to do chanting. Choose a chant that is suitable for you. Buddho, Buddho, Arahang, Arahang. But when I just said, when you're sitting down, you only cultivate one object. You pick one. You don't meditate on a feeling when you are sitting down. You don't meditate on a feeling. It's only Goenka meditation. In the Buddha Suttas, the Buddha always talks about mindfulness directed to the body. The body means one object, one form. It can be your breath, it can be a light, it can be a kasina. All this is a body. Because when you meditate on a form object, a body, it brings you to form jhana, rupa jhana. And that is our object. The object of your meditation is to attain the first rupa jhana, the second rupa jhana, the third and the fourth rupa jhana. So to attain the rupa jhanas, you have to meditate on a rupa, a form. That's why the Buddha always talks about mindfulness directed to the body. Leads you to the deathless, and the Buddha always says. Yeah.
Now, during sitting meditation, we only concentrate the body. The other, Satipatthana shows the four things. The other three cannot do it during the sitting. Then how do you concentrate?
Unless you have already attained the jhanas. If you already attained the jhanas, like the Buddha on the night of enlightenment, he used the jhanas to recollect his past life. And then he used the jhanas, coming out of the fourth jhana, with his psychic power, he could see beings dying and reborn, dying and reborn. And the third watch, he recollected the four noble truths that he had learned from the Buddha Kassapa. And then he attained enlightenment. So before, if you have not attained the jhanas, our object in sitting down meditating is to attain the jhanas. After you have attained the jhanas, then you got rid of the hindrances. Then only you use your mind to practice vipassana, contemplate on the Dhamma. And that will lead you to enlightenment. If your mind is full of the hindrances, you have not attained jhana, then you cannot see clearly, even when you remember the suttas. But if you pay a lot of attention to the Dhamma, it's possible to attain the first fruit, stream entry, but not liberation. Our Buddha always says to become liberated, you need 4 jhanas. But can you see your body? I mean, is it...
but it comes to come and lying down very far. Yeah, I use anapanasati to come to develop the sensation. So that I use it to get the body. It comes to coming down.
It may,
pure contemplation of the body.
Yes, maybe you can consider it as a contemplation of a body or feelings, because if it's not feelings, then this sensation, what is it? But
we just, I mean, for me, I just we are reminded to be really equanimous to the feeling of nice sensation. It just don't get attached to it. Just know that it's a feeling, and you just move on.
Now, the thing is whether it will bring you to the four jhanas. If it can bring you to the four jhanas, then it is a correct method. If you don't end up with the four jhanas practicing that way, then it is not Buddhist meditation. Because in the Majjhima Nikaya, remember Ananda says the only type of meditation praised by the Buddha is the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and fourth jhana. So it doesn't matter what object you use, what method you use. The important thing is you must end up with the four jhanas. If you don't end up with the four jhanas, you are not practicing Buddhist meditation. Because the purpose of attaining the four jhanas is to get rid of the five hindrances. When only the five hindrances are only got rid of when you attain the jhanas. Although they are not rooted out, but they have been cut down until there are no more obstructions, there are no more hindrances. What page?
Page 1617.
Okay.
I think it explains how do we perceive each type of skeleton, practicing the Bhujanga and the perception of the skeleton. So I just wondering how do we use the skeleton as an object?
See, in this sutta, we are supposed to practice the 7 Bhujangas in that same sequence. First you cultivate this recollection of the Dhamma. Recollection usually means recollection of the Dhamma. So when you think of the skeleton, then you can imagine that one day your body will become a skeleton. In other words, you think of impermanence and how it is a source of suffering. Then after that, you practice the investigation. What are the things that cause the arising of the skeleton, and how even the skeleton can vanish, can cease, go away, and before the skeleton also, this is a human body and all that. Then after that, energy, if you want to use it to attain the jhanas, then you have to probably fix the skeleton in the mind. You have to observe a skeleton, open your eyes and close your eyes, and open the eyes and close the eyes, probably until that skeleton becomes your object, your body that you are meditating on. So just like a kasina object, you meditate on an object, kasina object, like a fire, a water, or a color. So if we look at a skeleton, and then we close our eyes and open our eyes, etc., until it stays with us. I guess in that way, that's a kasina. Yeah. So there are certain objects of meditation where it is both samatha and vipassana, just like the 32 parts of the body. Okay, if there's nothing, yeah.